Hey, welcome to Taylor's Trick Taking Table. I'm Taylor, and standard disclaimer, this video is a part of a full series on all the claim factions and such, and the playlist for it will be in the description. We'll link to all the other videos. And at the end of it all, I'll rank my favorite factions and boxes and stuff. And I'm assuming for all the videos besides the main claim video that you know how to play claim. And also, in the critique of the factions, I might be a little bit redundant or repetitive video to video, but bear with me. Anyway, without much further ado, let's go to the video. Hey, welcome to Taylor's Trick Taking Table. I'm Taylor, and today we're covering Claim Reinforcements Sky. And this is the sky we're in front of. In fact, there's the moon. Boop. It's a little dark, so let's... that's better. A bit brighter. Alrighty, let's go to the table and I'll show you Reinforcements Sky. Before we talk about the factions in Reinforcements Sky, the special thing about it is it doesn't have just 3 10 card factions and then 2 11 card factions like most of the expansions in Claim. They actually have 4 12 card factions. And what that does is when you're building up a deck with one of these 12 4 card factions, you'll pick one of the 12 and then 4 10 card factions. So it kind of changes up the deck makeup that you can do with the different combinations. First up is the Angels, and they just matter in the end of the game. And so how they work is you look at your scoring pile for each number of Angels you have, and you just want those to be unique. If they are, they count as 2 of the quantity cards for the Angels. So in this case, this 8 here, there's no other 8s, so this counts as 2, but the 7 over here, since there is another 7, just counts as 1. So instead of 2 in this Angel faction, this player actually has 3. The Eagles faction is super simple. You just can't lead 2 Eagles in a row. So say this person led the 5 and they won it with that 5. They can't lead this 4 Eagle out of their hand. They must lead with a different faction. Of course, if you only have Eagles in your hand, you can, but if you don't, you have to lead with a different card. How Pterosaurs work is at the very end of the game, any Pterosaur numbered 7 or higher just goes extinct out of the game. So you might think, in a normal faction, this person has 4 of them, that person has 3, they would have won. But again, these 7s and 9s would have gone extinct, so actually this player wins that faction. And the lightning elementals work is in phase 2, you can discard any number of lightning elementals to add 1 to the card you played. It's a little unsure if you can do that at any time or just when you play it, but how it works effectively is, let's say this person led the 9, this person plays the 7, they could discard these 3 elementals to be able to turn this into a 10 and then win the trick. So these would just, go out, and this player down here would actually collect that. Again, I'm not sure if it has to be when you play it. So like if this person led the 7, would they have to discard those 3, and then when this person finally plays the 9, then they would win? Or could they play this out, be losing, and then discard these 3 to turn that into a 10? So not 100% which way, just the wording just says you can do it to boost a card, it doesn't say when. And finally, the Vulturekin. Whoever has the most Vulturekin at the very end of the game would shuffle all of the cards that were played and used in phase 1, so that kind of discard pile. They would shuffle, take 2, and then these just get added to that person's faction. So that is Claim Reinforcements Sky, and we're back inside. Boo! But before we go into like a faction by faction breakdown, I thought what they did really cool in this one, which they might have done earlier, I might be blanking on it, is the fact that they have 4 factions that are 12 cards and 1 that's, the standard 10, as opposed to some 11 pairs and then, some 10s. And it was cool to see new ways to break up that deck breakdown, because, usually it's you grab a pair, like elf and goblin and orc or whatever, and you have, 2 pairs of 11 and then 3 of 10. And it's cool to have only 1 of 12 and then 4 of 10. So it adds to a lot more deck makeup and deck variety and stuff. So you can now start playing with 4 10 sets that couldn't be combined before. So I really, really like this as just like a general concept of like adding to a more interesting deck makeup for all of Claim. Turning to the factions, starting with Angels here. I liked it. I always like in Claim, or even like any set collection game or collection game, where you actively kind of steer players toward getting certain things that the other players don't care about. So in this one, if they won an Angel with like a 3 or something or 4, they are almost actively not trying to win that same number later. I felt like, I say this too much, but classic Claim complaint is it just didn't trigger too much. or like it didn't really have too much of a precedent on there. In the games we played, it happened maybe once, kind of. So yeah, I liked it, cool concept. Just wish it happened a little bit more, but I mean, what are you gonna do? Next up is the Eagles, and I have said this on other ones, but it's a situation where I read it, thought it was like, what? And then kind of dismissed it until I played it and I saw the ramifications of how cool this one is. I really like this one. I'm sorry if you watch all these playlists, I'm going to repeat myself, but a thing in Claim that it maybe isn't an issue, but it's just like a thing that I've noticed in Claim is in the second phase, if you're long in a suit and the other person doesn't have it, since there's no trump in the game, you can kind of just like run the table a little bit. And what I like about the Eagles is it's so simple. You can't just play 2 Eagles in a row. And I thought it was going to be fiddly, or just tough to, not tough to remember, but just tough to like keep everyone on it, you know? Like sometimes people just like are playing Claim fast and loose and you're like, oh, that's technically an Eagle, you can't play 2 Eagles in a row. So I was nervous of that. But what actually happened is the wonderful thing where I was long in Eagles and I was like, oh, here we go. And then you play an Eagle and you're like, oh wait, I can't play another Eagle. I have to play part of my other hand, which isn't the best strategy right now. And it was so fun to like break up a good Eagle hand. And since Eagles are so big, you know, there's 12 Eagles. You usually were like long in the Eagle suit in either phase, 1 or 2. So I really, really liked Eagles. Surprisingly, they might be my favorite faction because they just broke up that whole flow of I'm going to be long in the suit and just like dominate someone. So surprising hit, Eagles. Next up is Pterosaurs, and it's a good simple one. I thought it would be just kind of meh, but I think what sold it for me to being like a good one is the fact that it has 12 cards in the deck. Like if this was just one that went to 9 and there was only 3 cards that would be extinct, it would be kind of like, okay. But the fact that it is one of the longer suits, the 12 card ones, that I think it saves it. So that one's good. I don't know if it's my favorite compared to the other ones, but it was nice. Next up was Lightning Elementals, and I really like this one. There's something to giving players more agency on how they can like maneuver the game, which is super nice. Claim, I like the game, but sometimes it can feel on rails just because there is no trump and it's a must follow and there's just 2 players and it's very like, right? I love the fact that when you have elementals, you're in one of 2 situations, right? You either have a bunch of them, and so you don't need all of them, so you can use them to, again, for their power, augment a card, which is amazing. Or you have a few and you're like, do I use them, right? Because I might actually lose this faction if I use them too much. And the other person gets like a few, right? Or 1 or 2. And the other one is, if you're losing that faction, you only have like 1. It's like, yeah, sweet. I'm not going to win this one. I might as well use it to bolster something. I really like the idea. I do wish it was almost plus or +2 instead of +1. Just because at the end, you know, half the deck's cut out. Like, I don't know if like +1 is enough to like really swing things too much, especially if you're giving up a faction card. But yeah, no, really cool concept, and I would definitely include these in other decks, because again, it's one of the 12 card ones, so it just lends to the number of cards. So it lends to the power happening more and more, which is rad. And last but definitely not least is Vulturekin, which I didn't know was a word until we were playing. But this is so rad. I love in Claim where they make a faction just worth more. It's just more valuable to win that one. And so players have this kind of interesting self-balancing where since both players want to win it more, then that is just like valued more for both players. And who doesn't love a final reveal of like 2 extra faction cards? And 2 is just like the perfect number. I know earlier I was saying that like the Lightning Elementals, the fact that they just do +1 is sometimes a little bit like lackluster, but 2 additional faction cards is so fun. And it's great when it happens because we played a game where it did come down to that. It's like, you have 2 factions, I have 2 factions, you're winning a little bit by this, but I just won Vulturekins and I'm going to shuffle and draw 2, and those 2 could let me win. It's so much fun. I know it's like random, I know it's like whatever at the end, but a lot of Claim comes down to like, you won 2, I won 2, who won that 3rd one, or who won, you know, their 3rd one. And it's really fun when the Vulturekins are in there because it can just like throw a wrench into like that very final reveal, which is super, super fun. So yeah, that is Reinforcements Sky. This is my favorite of the 3 that come into this set. just because, I guess twofold, I think the factions are super fun. Some that are super basic but add nice wrinkles, and some that are like, ooh, didn't expect that, but actually add a lot. But also the huge reason of the fact that the 4 of these factions are 12 cards, and then they can change, how you build decks for future or even like, existing claim sets, which is super rad. So yeah, I really like this one. Definitely check it out. And thanks so much for watching.